Since debuting on Nintendo's platform in September 2017, RBI Baseball has fallen short in a number of areas. Gameplay, performance, and other aspects of the game have definitely left a lot to be desired, which was very disappointing considering that RBI was the only MLB licensed game on the platform. With RBI 20, a lot of changes were actually made to the gameplay that really elevate the title well above previous entries into the series. But is it enough to make RBI 20 worth your time? Danny from the Famicast here, and this is my review of RBI Baseball 20 on the Nintendo Switch. Like I just mentioned, there are some really big changes in RBI 20 when it comes to pitching and batting. So the game introduces these new modes to you in the form of tutorials when you first boot up the game. So while pitching, the camera is now centered behind your player on the mound, akin to kind of what you would see in a real Major League broadcast. And you're now able to choose from a variety of pitches by using the joystick and the B button. Now, once you decide on your pitch, you can then decide on where you want the pitch to go, or like the location. You can decide this by moving around the joystick. And once that's decided, you press the B button again to fire away. Now, while your pitcher is going through his windup, you can increase the quote-unquote effort on the pitch by holding B. Now, this will make it a little more difficult to choose your location. As you can see in the video here, it kind of moves around a little bit, the more effort that you're putting in. But it results in a more potent pitch. Using more effort on a pitch will also drain your stamina a bit faster too. Pitching goes even deeper here to give RBI 20 a better sense of realism. So of course, the less stamina your pitcher has, the less likely he'll be able to throw the ball accurately. Now, there's also this confidence rating for each pitch in your repertoire, and this varies depending on how successful you are with your pitches. So let's say if you throw a curveball and it gets knocked out of the park, your confidence and kind of like your accuracy for that particular pitch will go down a little bit. When throwing a ball with low confidence or stamina, aiming is pretty difficult as the cursor will be moving around almost uncontrollably. Now, conversely, even if you have low stamina, if your confidence level on a pitch is high, you still have good control over your pitch. Honestly, I'm really impressed by this change to the game, and I've really been having a lot of fun with it. So, just like in real baseball, there are a lot of things to think about when you're on the mound. Ball placement, your pitcher's stamina, how much oomph you want to put into the ball. And I think that's conveyed pretty well here. It really does make for a realistic yet fun way to experience a game of baseball. Batting has also gotten a facelift in RBI 20, but the mechanics remain simple. To swing, you simply press the B button to initiate, and then you release the B button to swing. Now, by holding the B button, you're able to add more power to your swing. It gets a little bit more complicated here too, so the more power your swing has, the harder it is to make contact with the ball. So some strategy can come into play here with that, as using less power might not knock a ball out of the park, but it could be just what you need to get some men on base to start a rally. Now, kind of similar to previous games in the RBI Series 2, the key here to getting hits is all about timing and the location of your bat on the ball. So although you can't control exactly where your bat is going to be, or move your player around in the batter's box in the modern control option, the game does a decent job at putting the bat where it needs to be with your swings. There is an option to control the position of your bat when you swing, but honestly, I don't think it felt very good at all. And with that control option, you're not only dealing with the timing, which can be challenging in its own right, but you're also having to deal with moving the bat to basically the left or right side or keeping it dead center. Honestly, it just felt like a little bit too much. And, I found that the just stock batting system here does a good enough job of doing all this stuff automatically. Now, overall, the batting does feel okay, but it does definitely take some time to get used to. It can be a little difficult to judge whether a ball is going to be a ball or a strike. Now, I know I definitely struggled when I first started out, striking out more times than I'd really care to admit. It's challenging, but I think you can get used to it after playing through a few games. And, I should note here, too, RBI 20 still does contain options for a classic control scheme from the previous titles. And it even has a pitching camera here, too. But, I'd honestly say before going that route, I think you should really give these new modes a chance. Feeling remains pretty similar to previous RBI titles. So one new addition, something I've been begging for since RBI 2017, this new thing has been added here. And this is, of course, the ability to dive for balls with the press of a button. Thank God. So in the previous games, this was always handled automatically. And now, while there still are times when there are automatic dives, it feels good to finally be able to do this on my own. Overall, fielding it's okay. I think there are some issues here with ball collision. and a couple of things like that. So, for example, there were times when a ball looked like it should go right by or in between defenders, but it didn't. If the ball is kind of in the general area of the player, it will be stopped, kind of like a bubble that's kind of like around each of the defenders. It's just kind of a shame, like, when this type of stuff happens, and it can be frustrating, especially when it happens to you. While typically serviceable, there will be times when your defenders will also just not be in ideal positions to make plays, or they might cover a base when they probably should be going after the ball. I mean, fielding here could use a bit of a facelift, but like I said, it's okay most of the time. Modes on offer here are the same as an RBI 19. You got Exhibition, Franchise, Postseason, and Homerun Derby. Unfortunately, the Switch version does not support online play. A franchise is probably where people will spend most of their time. I mean, here you have up to 10 years to try to win that coveted World Series title. Homerun Derby with the new batting mechanics is actually pretty fun once you have the timing down. The performance issues from last year, where the game would kind of chug during this mode, have been ironed out for the most part, though you will notice some jitters when the ball is in play. Visuals here look similar to last year's RBI 19. The player models do sport a lot of detail, and they look pretty close to their real-life counterparts. Small things too, like more realistic hair for the players, to dirt appearing on uniforms after they make a diving catch or slide. All these are great touches that have been added in here. The camera angle while pitching is awesome, and it really adds a level of authenticity that I don't think was quite there with the previous RBI titles. The crowd, which is something I like to focus on when I'm playing the sports games. The crowd here, which you'll see more of thanks to this camera angle. They're a little low resolution, but they react appropriately. So standing up when you're pitching from like the end of an inning or something like that, it's kind of like waiting in anticipation. Giving disappointing gestures for strikeouts, stuff like that. It's pretty cool to kind of get a good look at the crowd to see what they're doing. The stadiums themselves here look great, and they, of course, accurately depict the real-life ballparks. It's pretty well done here in this aspect. Sounds pretty spot on here. The crack of the bat sounds authentic. The game also boasts several different music tracks that play between the innings and on the menus. Now, the play-by-play, if you will, it's the same as it kind of always has been with the RBI games, where it's like a PA announcer calling the strikes, balls, fouls, and home runs. I've always found that this was kind of one of the most underwhelming parts of the game. I hope that if RBI does go forward again next year, maybe that they could do something more to kind of add to the realism and just add to the experience. I hope they can do something with that. Performance overall is okay. Now, some of the cutscenes are a little bit jittery and are basically the same as what was found in RBI 19. Now, very rarely did any of these jitters affect the gameplay. I did run into a few weird errors that made it so I had to close and boot up the game, though. So here's what happened here. So this actually happened when I was playing franchise mode and I was in the middle of a game. I was making a pitching change. So just for a little bit of background, if you use a pinch hitter and you need to change your pitcher and all that type of stuff, the game automatically asks you at the beginning of the inning, basically like, hey, do you want to change, to a real pitcher? So another way you can do that too, like let's say just any time you press like the L button, then you could go into like a substitution menu, like a quick substitution menu. So when it got into that next inning, I knew that I had to make a change. So just instinctively, I just pressed L at the same time when the game also initiated that automatic thing. So like, then the game just kind of froze and I really couldn't do anything. I could see, the crowd was still kind of going and I could hear like things moving around, but like I couldn't do anything. I had to like shut down the game completely. So I was pretty pissed. So I shut down the game and I booted it back up and I got to franchise mode and it said like, hey, do you want to continue your game like in the bottom of the 8th or whatever? And I was like, oh, okay. That's pretty nice. So that was kind of like an unfortunate way to find out about a cool feature in the game. It's cool that there's like autosave and stuff like that with the franchise mode. Pretty much happening without you even knowing about it, so that's kind of nice. I mean, like I said, some of these little bugs and stuff, it's frustrating, but I think these are things that can get patched out over time. Yeah, but I'm glad that I figured out kind of accidentally that this is a feature in the game. RBI Baseball 20 on the Switch isn't perfect, but it really did surprise me, in a good way. The series really has come a long way since the 2017 iteration of the game. There are a few things that can be improved upon, like, more accurate fielding, some performance stuff, and some of the glitches. But I think I could safely say that this is actually a fun game that baseball fans should consider picking up. Final score for RBI Baseball 20 on the Nintendo Switch, 7 out of 10. As always, thanks for checking out this video. If you like what you see, please feel free to give us a like. If you're new to the channel, please feel free to subscribe. We have tons of podcasts, video reviews, special videos, and a whole lot more. Again, this is Danny from the Famicast. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you later.
Out.